up, my snow angels? Welcome back for another video. So in the past, I made a video about my Korean reading study with Howl's Moving Castle, and I just finished it last week, and now I have a new book to study. So I wanted to share that with you today. But first, a little bit about my Korean background and my background specifically in reading in Korean. So obviously, my first language is English. My second language is in Spanish. I lived in Guatemala for like 14 months, but I learned Spanish for 16 and a half months. And then French I studied in college, and it's very similar to Spanish, so I do know some French. And then Korean I started studying just over 3 years ago. I started July 2018 after getting into K-pop and K-drama, and yeah, now I live in Korea. And I've been living in Korea since September 2019, so I'm about to hit my 2-year mark in 2 months, so that's exciting. Yeah, and actually I'm gonna be moving to Seoul when I hit my 2-year mark, so yeah. That's a big news, but yeah, we're not getting into that today. So the first book I actually read in Korean, I bought week 3 here. I went to Daejeon and was shopping, and I saw a bookstore. I think it was YP Books. Yeah. And I found one of my favorite books, which is Demian by Hermann Hesse. I probably butchered the name. I don't speak German, so yeah, sorry. Yeah, I obviously read it in English before, and it was actually a book that Namjoon from BTS read, AKRM. And this book really helped me during my faith crisis 2 years ago, which I'm not going to go into detail about. I already made a video about that in the past, and I don't want to rehash that because I've moved on. But yeah, so I would read a couple pages in English and then read a couple pages in Korean. It was very hard because this book is hard to read in English, so I definitely would not recommend doing that for your first book. Definitely do something more like this because it has pictures. Sometimes you have to approach this like a child, and I sound like a child when I speak Korean anyway. So anyway, that took me about 4 or 5 months to read. And then the second one I did was BTS The Notes. So I got the English version at the House of BTS in December 2019. And then I bought this a few months later on Weverse. So yeah, this has an E on it. I don't know if you can see. Then that has a K. So yeah, same thing. A couple pages in English, then a couple pages in Korean. It probably took me a couple months. It was a little bit easier. And then I just did Howl's Moving Castle, which brings me to the fourth book that I'm going to do. Before I get into the book I'm going to read now, I'm going to share something a little bit personal that I've been going through recently. I'm not going to go into detail because, it's my privacy. But yeah, there's been some things that have happened that have made me, forced me to become more self-aware about things that I do, bad habits that I have that hurt other people. It's I did not do this intentionally, but I feel horrible about it. And I want to change, and I want to become better. What I'm referring to is I have this really nasty habit of I like to talk a lot, and I like to readily share my opinion. Readily is an understatement. It's just kind of thing is okay, we did not ask. Shut up kind of thing. But I just go ahead and say my opinion, and I'm pretty bold about it and pretty honest, but honest is not quite the right word. It's more like tactlessly. So it's like I tactlessly share my opinion. I say words that come off as harsh. I run my mouth faster than I run my brain. So, I talk without thinking all the time, and then it's hurt people, and I don't want to do that anymore. I want my words to be more thoughtful, more considerate, more kind, and I want to learn to shut up sometimes and listen to other people without giving unsolicited opinions or advice, because I do not want to hurt people anymore with my words, whether it's intentionally or not. Definitely, I don't want to do it intentionally, but I also don't want to do it unintentionally or subconsciously. I want to, be more considerate of that so that I don't hurt people in the future, or don't hurt people as often, since I'm not perfect and I'm going to offend people, and that's just the reality of being a human being. But I want to avoid that as much as possible. This brings me to this. My fourth book, like in English, it's called The Power of Language or The Power of Words, but in Korean, I'm going to butcher this pronunciation, I'm sorry. It's 말의 내공. So yeah, it's really pretty and it has like this simple bowl. It's quite minimalistic, and I like it. I like the cover. So actually, like, I remembered this like the other night when I was like thinking about like what can I do to fix this bad habit of mine besides therapy, which I will go to therapy when I move. But like right now, like I'm trying to figure out everything with moving to Seoul. It's a big thing. I've been preparing for since February. But I was just like thinking about this like the other night, and I remembered that 2 years ago, Kim Taehyung, aka V from BTS, was spotted holding this book. And people like looked into it and like saw what it was about, and it intrigued me, but at the time I wasn't very solid in my Korean, so I didn't pick it up. And I didn't know if there was a version in English, which I didn't find out, but I have Papago, so I'm going to be using Papago. But I am also like pretty good at my Korean reading now, so I feel like it's going to be okay. So yeah, I'm going to share a review with you guys. So like part of the review says what the book is about. So I'm only going to share that part of the review. Okay. So this person said, this book is about strengthening our social position by using the language by focusing on several aspects. The first one is to develop ourselves. So like a bowl, which I think is why it's on the cover, language will flow and fill the bowl. So it's important to understand ourselves and to love ourselves the way we are. We need to change our perspectives to form such creativity and to gain some knowledge. So yeah, like, that is like their message, is like to love yourself. And that is something that I've been developing for the past 5 years. It's been my focus, is on loving myself. But that does, yeah, I think that I, will resonate a lot with that. Okay, so then next says, we also need to learn from others. How? By listening to others without even giving our opinions nor advice. So this is where I feel like I'm going to learn a lot, because this is why I'm picking up this book in the first place, because I need to do this. We can also gain more knowledge by asking some questions. Questioning can also raise our awareness and critical thinking. Now, this is something that I am like a heavy proponent of. I think it is so important to learn to ask the right questions and to think more critically about the things that we're exposed to before forming an opinion or forming a worldview. It's been very, very important in my life as I've gone through some challenges. It's been really helpful. So I'm going to resonate with this a lot. The third point is how to implement those things in our daily life. So yeah, application is going to be very important. 2 important aspects here are how to conduct our speaking style and on how to value ourselves and speaking partner. We should speak in our own capacity. We should also perform it in our best gesture. The authors present it through Western and Eastern philosophy. Yeah, definitely. I'm excited to read this book. I think it will really help me with understanding the words that I say and the connotations that they have and how it's going to land with the listener, but also how to take a step back and listen to the opinions and perspectives of others before jumping in and giving my unsolicited opinion or advice. So I'm excited to read this book. And I'm going to do something else while I'm reading that I think will be very useful in my study, and that is annotating. I used to teach reading, and this is like one of the things that I taught, and I taught pretty heavily because this book is nonfiction, and nonfiction, like a lot of people don't want to read nonfiction because they think it's boring or it will put them to sleep or like that kind of thing, like reading a textbook for school. Like, no one wanted to do that ever, unless you were weird. So, like, a good way to read this kind of book is by annotating. And I do this with pretty much every book that I read. For example, Demian. How you annotate, like using Demian as an example, is while you're reading, if you come across like a sentence or a paragraph, something that like really resonates with you, or like you have a personal connection with, or it's something that you learn, you underline it or highlight it and then make a note on the side. For example, this one says, "Staring into the fire had done me good. It had confirmed and set in activity tendencies which I had always had but never really followed. Gradually and in part, I saw light on the subject." What I wrote is, nature helps you become in tune to yourself. I wrote that because I've seen this in my life, and I could connect with the main character talking about how looking into the fire helped him gain more insights into himself. Like, making that personal connection helped me really focus on what I was reading and helped me like apply it. Otherwise, if I read something like this, I'm gonna end up reading the same page over and over and possibly falling asleep, and it's not going to be effective unless I actively take notes. So that's what I'm going to do with this book because I really need to learn from it. So what I'm going to do is, like, I'm going to read it and I'm going to papago it, but also I feel like I will understand some on my own because my reading's getting pretty good. I'm going to underline it and then I'm going to start trying to annotate it in Korean if possible. And I think it should be pretty easy because this doesn't look too hefty to read. It's only about 210 pages, so it's not going to be bad. I don't think it'll be bad. I'm going to probably make a video after I read it to share what I've learned. Yeah, share it with you guys because I think there's going to be some really important lessons in this book that I will want to share. And I understand like a lot of these books are either BTS connected or recommended by BTS members. It should be pretty clear by now, viewers of this channel, that I am like a BTS stan. I don't really like that word because when I think of stan, I think of those like stan Twitter, where there's people like always sharing their opinion and sometimes going after other fandoms, sharing like fan cams, and people that like are stereotyped, like the toxic armies. And I'm not a toxic army, okay? Let me get that clear. I am like a big fan of them because not only do they make me want to make better music, but they make me want to be a better person. And I think this book will help. Like Demian helped me. Demian helped me learn how to listen and follow my inner voice. And I think this book, Marui Nekong, is going to help me with learning how to express myself better in a more kind and tactful way, while also listening to the opinions of other people in a respectful way. I think this is really gonna help me as I'm on this journey to improving myself and improving myself as a human being, to being a kinder and nicer person and wiser, more considerate. Anyway, that's my video for today. I have made other Korean study videos in the past. Let me know in the comments, like maybe if you read the book, comment about that. Or if you like BTS too, comment that. You know, the more the merrier, the more armies the merrier. Come into my channel. I welcome that, welcome. You can be a snow angel too if you want. Or like if you have other Korean books to recommend to me, it's all welcome here. This is a free space. With that being said, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Become a snow angel today. Don't be a snow devil. I make a lot of videos doing with music. My name is Snow. I am a singer, songwriter, self-taught dancer. I play a bunch of instruments. I'm working on my debut album right now. It's taking a while. And I make a lot of music covers on here and do a lot of dance covers. So if this is something that you're interested in, please subscribe today and be a snow angel. Don't be a snow devil. And I will see you in the next video. Bye!